Before we get started, which professional wrestler do you want to start a fight with today? You just let me know.
Dude, what the hell? What happened here?
I'm thinking Diamond Dallas Page. What do you think? You want to go after him?
Let's guess which superstar, WWE superstar, I bought this jacket from. Any guesses? Dude, come on, it was an innocent comment.
And that all started a week ago, and it was all created by Sal. He made me talk about a booking decision from WrestleMania.
You
5 years
started
ago.
by saying somebody texted you about me, and then I said, oh, funny you say that. A former WWE superstar texted me about you, and then this whole thing, all hell breaks loose.
Hey, I give you credit. I have no WWE superstars in my phone. Not one.
Really?
Not a one. Now, who the hell would I talk to?
I mean, well, apparently now nobody.
You think me and Jey Uso text every other day or something?
I don't know if I can talk to anybody anymore either. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but that was wild.
You're a crap starter. It is what it is.
That is not true. Although I did technically start it. Yes.
Yes,
I started the good part of it. Then it just got nasty. I was like, oh, will these guys stop it, please? Anyway.
Yes. We got a lot to get to today. We're all very excited to find out how Buck Showalter is going to put together a lineup that pisses everybody off. We'll get to that as the show rolls on.
Oh, you two with the lineup? I mean, come on, dude. It's one day. And they won.
That's not how things work, though, by the way.
Well, it's not based on results. I get it.
It's
You're
not
right.
based on, hey, after the fact, they won, everything's great.
No, but you're complaining on a day where they had their biggest win. It cemented their biggest win of the year. Like, let it go. It's a lineup.
It was a great couple of days. We are all very excited about the Met turnaround, but the lineup that was presented yesterday afternoon worries me moving forward. The young guys need to play. And some of the excuses that your guy said before and after the game for why those young guys weren't in the lineup were completely unacceptable. And here's what's great. The lineup's going to come out in the next few hours, and we're going to be here. And we'll give you a live reaction to it. Now, last night was special because the Mets weren't playing. And what I enjoyed about last night is I sat down on my couch and I just watched the Yankees, okay? I had the Laker game on, but it was sort of background noise until the second half, until the Yankee game was over. So I was just watching the Yankees. I was not distracted. I was not flipping around. I was not catching up on Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, dude, you weren't?
I was not.
Did you catch up at all yet or no?
I heard what happened.
Oh, man, I can't get enough of it. Anyway, go ahead.
So I'm just watching the Yankee game. And obviously, you should be thrilled about Nestor Cortez, although that was a huge bounce-back performance for him, who had a couple of bad starts in a row. Should be pumped up about Aaron Judge, who looked like a god in this series after the whole I'm looking right story. But here's what popped into my brain, and I promise you, this is me saying it, not Craig, because this sounds something very Craig-like, but it's really true, because we know Craig's agenda. Craig's got a BFF. I'm just telling you this as an independent baseball observer. I don't understand you people. I don't understand Yankee fans. I watched last night, and every time they put that camera on Aaron Boone, I'm in love.
Right.
The guy's tremendous. Aaron Boone is sitting there in the midst of a Yankee win, and he looks over at Pete Walker, and he says, "You're bleeping crazy," and he's screaming at him. This is my manager. Like, I would love this guy. He gets thrown out of every other game.
I'm calling bullcrap. I love, and I agree with you, Aaron Boone has won me over with his personality. I love the antics, the gum toss and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You hate every manager, and Aaron Boone is not a great tactician in game. He would drive you nuts if you were a Yankee fan. You agree with his moves?
Sal.
I know last week you were talking about you like the bowling that Boone does with the lanes and all that.
I love his bowling. No. Every manager, and I think Buck showed you this over the last few days and really over the last year. And
pinch hitting
Aaron
Vogelback for Tommy Pham. Oh.
Horrible move, right?
Yeah.
Every manager is going to make moves that we're going to criticize. That's just obvious. Right. I'm just saying that this guy sits there and every other game is yelling at umpires. He's yelling at coaches. He's looking to fight every other day.
Love it.
And as we've sat here for 15, 20 years on WFAN, the biggest criticism every manager faced, whether it was Willie Randolph or it was the great Joe Torre or it was whomever, was, hey, get off your ass, show some life. This freaking Aaron Boone, every game. I mean, is he not showing life?
You know, he is. They're a competitive bunch led by their fiery manager, which is why I think the Yankees are the best team in the American League. I've seen enough over this stretch. Going into that 14-game stretch, Rays, Blue Jays, I know the A's were in there and they're pathetic. But the Yankees,
gotta beat them, though.
The Yankees were down, right? Mm-hmm. They were banged up. Judge didn't come back until after that 3-game series. I saw the fiery, competitive nature of this team. I think Boone's a big part of that.
See?
Boone and Judge, no, I'm with you.
You understand that.
But, we were taking calls on this last night or early this morning. In the postseason, he's got to prove himself as a manager.
Well,
That's what I'm worried about. I know it's a long.
The postseason, obviously, this is how we judge everything. How you do in the
with
postseason.
them specifically.
For them, even for the Mets now. The Mets won 101 games. I don't think anybody feels that was a great year last year.
Yeah, but they have to get back to the
100%.
Yeah.
But you have to win in the postseason. I'm talking about right now over the course of 162. Because the truth is you got to get to the postseason. And over the course of 162, this guy, as much as he is so maligned by Yankee fans, and you brought up one of the reasons they don't like his bullpen management.
Right.
What manager's bullpen management do you love?
You don't. It's also not just that, too. It's the lineups. You criticize Buck for not having Vientos.
Yeah.
I mean, Boone is going to this series. It's predetermined weeks out. I guarantee you, Aaron Boone knows his lineups better than we know our on-air schedule here over the course of the next few weeks. Like, he's got it predetermined probably for 2 weeks what's going to happen. Oh, Oswaldo's going to play left this day. Then he's going to play right. Then he's going to play short. Like, the predetermined days off, fans aren't going to get behind that. That's asinine. Manage. Don't apply the data from the front office. I hate when they do that.
That is managing.
No, it's not.
How is that not managing?
But it was a rarity what the Mets did last year. This year it's been jumbled because nobody's hitting, but you basically knew what lineup Buck Showalter was going to roll out there. That's old school.
No, but Sal, I don't think there's a right or wrong to that. I don't think necessarily everybody has to hit in the same order every single day.
Which is fine. Fans don't like going into a big series in Toronto or against the Rays. Guys getting days off. They don't like it. Why? Why do they need days off?
That's a little bit different. The day off thing is tough, and I think these days where you're playing fewer games against your division, which, by the way, that's another thing I determined last night while I was watching Yankees Blue Jays. I hate the new schedule. It's just
this year of all years.
I wanted to give it time before I really formed that opinion. I freaking hate it. The fact that the Yankees and Blue Jays, who hate each other's guts, even though the Blue Jays come across like real frauds, let's be honest about them, the fact they don't play again until September is ridiculous.
We'll be in week 3 of the NFL the next time. It's a joke.
And think about it. You're not playing the Toronto Blue Jays so you could play the Cincinnati Reds. Who gives a rat's ass?
But I think this is the unique circumstance because I've been so sick and tired of the 19 times, whether it's the Yankees, Sox, Mets, Nats, Mets, Marlins, Yankees, Jays. This year, I can't get enough of it. Yankees, Rays, Yankees, Jays. But we're talking about the anomaly or the aberration because this is the best division in baseball by far.
You have to take the bad with the good. The American League East is so freaking loaded that every divisional game the Yankees play is going to feel like a bigger deal than if you're in a lousy division like the Mets playing the Nationals. May not seem like that big of a deal. The lineup thing, and we'll do it with Buck, and we certainly do it with Boone. Yeah, we're going to debate it. The in-game managerial moves, yeah, we're going to debate it. There is nobody that's perfect. I want to make that clear.
Right.
But when I'm sitting there every single night watching a guy, even if it's not like, who cares if he's acting a certain way? He acts every game as if he wants to kill you.
Well, I think
Whether
he does.
It's cursing out umpires or going after Pete Walker. And then after the game, I'm watching his post-game press conference, and he means all of it. He's like, yeah, I'm disgusted by this.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And Big Mac, I apologize, because usually Big Mac would argue with me. He's just going to applaud me a corner. He's just going to give me a round of applause.
I mean, you could not be more right in everything you're saying.
What's wrong with you people, Yankee fans? Like, seriously.
I've been arguing that point for, a year and a half.
What do you want? Like, Joe Torre is an all-time great manager. I don't want to besmirch his name. But Joe Torre was falling asleep in the dugout half the time.
But you know what they want.
What do they want? Wins? Yes, I get it.
They want a World Series appearance then a World Series win. Like
Sal.
But it's not like Boone has been great. For the record, I like Boone, but he has acted like a data applicator.
Okay. What is that? I don't even know what that means.
You
say that a lot.
Because you apply the data that the front office gives you.
First of all, every manager in the history of baseball, going back to John McGraw,
but they
has
take
data.
And they take it and they use it and they say, okay, thank you, and now let me manage the game.
He manages the game.
Aaron Boone applies the data specifically. Okay, well, this guy, he can't go today because this computer tells me that he's a little tired, so we're going to give him an off day. Like, it's too computerized the way that their lineups are predetermined, the way he used the bullpen with these lanes. But ultimately, you ask fans what they want, the Yankee fans what they want. They want to see a winner.
Well, obviously. Look,
okay, so but it's not about kind of like Boone's fiery competitive. How can you not love that?
You know, he brings up a great point. Let's talk about winning. I put some numbers together. This is going to blow your mind. In the 5 years Aaron Boone has been here as manager of the New York Yankees, no doubt they haven't won a World Series. They haven't gone to a World Series. We all understand the failures of October. Aaron Boone is 453 and 301. I'm going to do the math for you. That's a 600 winning percentage.
Right.
In the first 5 years of Joe Torre with all those championships, same exact winning percentage. Same exact.
All right, but
Same exact.
the big difference.
Yeah, you're right. There is a big difference. I'm going to follow up with that. Joe Torre had a hell of a lot more talent.
Yeah.
You're right.
Come on.
He didn't?
I don't know if you could say. I mean, those teams were better.
Well, hold
but
on.
Mariano Duncan more talented than Gleyber Torres?
That's who you're picking out?
I just think he's the first one that came to mind for whatever reason.
Bernie Williams. You're going to leave out Derek Jeter.
Yeah, well, still, I mean, I love those guys.
Sal,
but yeah.
be honest with me. That number I just gave you is surprising you.
I'll be honest with you. I don't even remember the number that you just said.
Okay, I'm going to say it again.
Okay.
The winning percentage of Aaron Boone for the 5 years he's been there during the regular season is exactly the same as the winning percentage of Joe Torre between 1996 and 2000. I obviously understand the championships. Right. I am not arguing that. But in terms of regular season success, with what I would argue is less talent, numbers are numbers, bro.
Two things. Number one, you're painting me into a corner here where it seems like I'm anti-Aaron Boone, which I am not.
You called him a data applicator.
Well, he is. For the years, though. But I like his
him a lot.
Well, you know why? Because he found out that I called him that, so of course I'm going to keep doing it more.
Would you call him that bothered him?
A data applicator.
Yeah, I mean...
He did say it bothered. He didn't reference you exactly.
Correct.
But
He said somebody... It was in an article two years ago. Somebody... It was like, I heard I was called him data applicator. I was like, oh, hey. Anyway, I like him. I like his personality and his fiery competitiveness. And I never, ever once said he is to blame and he should be fired. I would go to Cashman and say it was just time for a change with this team. And Boone has won me over even more in these last couple of weeks with that. But you saying you can't understand the fans want Buck Showalter fired as one of the great managers ever, won 101 games last year. Fans are irrational. They want Boone out because they want to see the success that this organization has had in recent years with Torre or even Girardi, where Boone has not gone as far as Girardi
He hasn't.
did.
No, there's no denying the postseason stuff. I won't bring that up because obviously I get it. They have not won enough in October. But it is sort of surprising to think that in the time he's been here, they have won at the same percentage as the dynastic Yankees of the late 90s. That doesn't jump out at you a little bit?
No,
especially
I just think it's
knowing
different.
This team is Yeah, it is different. This team's not as good. They haven't been as good.
Well, but baseball's not maybe the same anyway. Look, the Yankees in a bad year, right? A couple of years ago, we were all saying, hey, time for a change here. Not going to work. Cashman goes out there and trades for Rizzo and Gallo, whatever. They win 92 games, make the playoffs, get ousted by the Red Sox in a wild card game. That was a bad year. 92 wins.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point. If you want to make an argument for Boone, he wins 100 games every year. They win 92 games in a bad year. But that's what the Yankees do.
Do you think ultimately that the Yankees lose in October, which they have done consistently for a very long time, outside of 2009? It goes back further than Aaron Boone. Because even 17, as great of a year as it was, they lost in the ALCS. They consistently lose in the playoffs. Do you think that's happened because of their managers?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think he's done
Okay.
wonders to help his cause. I don't think he's been a great manager in big spots. So itchy to get to the bullpen, and then at times maybe leaving a guy in a little bit too long. Look, it's a delicate balance. I understand that. And he's going to get criticized one way or another, but it hasn't worked for him. And this is now on repeat since 2018.
Do you think Kevin Cash is a good manager?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gave a good answer because I was going to bring up what he did in the World Series against the Dodgers. Like, all
Dave
managers,
Roberts is awful. I know.
All managers are going to make moves. We're going to do it all the time. That's why the other day I was ripping Buck a lot. I wasn't saying he should be fired. Obviously, we can rip managers.
Who's your favorite,
disagree.
favorite Mets manager?
Bobby Valentine.
Yeah.
Not even close.
You rip everybody.
Well, but don't you? Don't we all? Criticism.
I'm just saying, like, it's fair to do, but I'm saying, like, no fan is ever going to really love a manager unless and even Joe Torre was getting criticized.
By the end he was.
Of course.
By the end he was.
How can you win more than
But
him?
you know what's funny? Joe Torre was criticized a lot at the end for the reasons I kind of opened with complimenting Boone, that fire. Like towards the end with Joe, it was, he's just sitting there. He's not doing anything. I'll give you another alarming number that doesn't mean anything, but I thought it was interesting. Aaron Boone has been the manager for 5 years. If I asked you to guess how many times he's been ejected from a game, what number would you guess in those 5 years?
Overall in 5 years?
Yeah.
10? 15? It's got to be over that, right?
It's over 60.
What? No,
Yeah.
it's not 60.
It's not. I thought
No,
it was
it's not.
60?
Yeah, I think it was 58 or 60 times.
It was not 58 or 60 times.
20?
Okay, now we're back in the range. The answer is 28.
That's a lot.
Okay? How many times do you think Joe Torre was ejected in his entire Yankee tenure?
5?
Very close. 8. Think about that.
It does bother me a little bit about Buck. Especially in
one.
comparison. Yeah, I know.
One.
Especially in comparison with seeing Boone firing gum and everywhere.
But
and
that's
yelling
my point. Like, and that doesn't make you a great manager necessarily. I'm not even arguing that totally. What I'm telling you is I sit there and I watch him, and I know as a fan, I would love this.
He's likable.
He's yelling at Pete Walker. He's yelling at everybody. He's throwing names at umpires. You bleep and bleep. My Savages from a few years ago. And then, oh, by the way, during the regular season, he's won as often as Joe Torre. He has.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers.
I mean, I love that in recent memory, Terry Collins, who's the fiery type guy. See, I love that. And open and honest in the post-game pressers, which I think Boone is for the most part. I don't have a problem with him. I personally, I think managing-wise, I think there's some, he's got to prove himself in the postseason.
Listen, it's all about winning in October. Hal Steinbrenner made a comment the other day to our buddy John Heyman about, hey, was
your
last
buddy,
year,
not my buddy.
You don't like John Heyman?
No, he blocked me on Twitter. He's so sensitive. I mean, get over yourself, John
I thought
Heyman.
you liked John because of the way he threw Jacob DeGrom into the mud.
No.
I thought you guys came together over that.
No, we did not.
You both had agendas against Jake?
I
and you
don't
figured,
have any
let's-
agenda against Jake. I'm just telling you what I hear. He wasn't happy being here. What do you want me to tell you?
Well, my buddy John Heyman was interviewing Hal Steinbrenner, and Hal said something that I completely agree with, even though I know it was going to piss everybody off. He said our goal of winning a championship didn't happen last year. That's a failure. But I can't say that the regular season was a failure. And I know that's sort of like, what? It makes sense. Like, you have a 162-game season. The job is to make the playoffs. The job, hopefully, is to win a division. The job is to win as many games as you can and get to the postseason. Then the second job is what happens in October.
Right.
Last year, the New York Yankees had a successful regular season. They did. Even the Mets, to a degree, despite blowing the division.
The problem is the end result was successful. However, the inconsistency throughout, the highest ups, and then they come crashing down. That, to me, there were flaws with that team that I think were masked because they got out to such a great start. So, yes, the result, winning the division, getting the bye, of course. How are you going to knock that? However, you watch this team in the regular season, to me, they were never as good as people thought early on, comparing them to the 98 Yankees.
Well, listen, nobody should be compared to the 98
correct,
Yankees.
But even aside from the 98 Yankee comparisons, did you think they were as good as their hot start last year?
I think a lot of times in baseball, you're not as good as you are ever when you're hot. Just like you're never as bad as you are when you're sucking. I mean, the Mets just went through 3 weeks in which they were awful in every aspect of their game. And as concerned as I was and you were, and I'm sure Met fans still may have, they were never that bad necessarily.
And now 2 wins, and it's like, oh, my God, the Mets are back. Yeah,
Well,
they 2 wins.
It's funny, the Yankees and Mets are both in a sort of similar spot. A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, you're looking at the Yankees, you're looking at the Mets, and we're panicking. Different levels of panic.
Right.
And I think today, with the way the Yankees have played, and especially the way they responded in this Blue Jays series, you said it before, I think the fact that they dealt with the controversies of Aaron Judge, even the controversy of Domingo Germán, and they responded on the road against this team that's loved every year the Blue Jays have picked to win 95, 100 games.
Right.
And the Yankees slapped them in the mouth.
Always. They own the Blue Jays. Blue Jays chirp, 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 and they're home, and they can't even, where the Yankees are down, not even fully healthy, and the Yankees still go in there and beat them 3 out of 4. And that is why, when you look at the best teams, and I get what the Astros have done, and they're going to be the team. I'm not trusting the Texas Rangers to be a team that I'm afraid of if I'm the Yankees. Obviously, nobody in the Central, so you look in their own division. Orioles are good, and I give them respect. They're not there yet, so you look at the Rays and the Jays. And I saw the Yankees, when they're not at their best, handle the other teams, especially the Rays who are at their best, and stack them up head-to-head. I think the Yankees are going to be better, led by Boone and led by their captain. I can't call him the captain because that's cheater, but led by their captain. I think they're on a mission here. They've been close. Maybe this is the year they finally get over the hump and get to a World Series.
He may not be the captain, but I'll say this about Judge this week in Toronto. He played like the captain.
And I'll tell you,
he faced the adversity, and boy, did he swat that away, man.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When they're chirping at you and then you stick it to them, oh, my God, that is so great. I wish the Mets had a player like that.
Well, but Aaron Judge is, generational.
Not how great
he
is, the leadership I'm talking about.
But sometimes leadership is performance. I mean, you look at last night's game, game 4 of a 4-game series, I'd argue a sort of pivotal game. Like, there are games in the 162, I've said this a lot, that matter more than others. You've won 2 out of 3 against Toronto.
They had to win that game.
You win this game, you win the series. You lose the game, feels kind of like a major disappointment. And 2 batters into the game, the guy hits a 2-run home run.
Boom.
Basically the difference in the game. He set the tone immediately. So sometimes great leadership is the way you step up in a big spot. And I thought all week in Toronto, after the controversy of him peeking over, he couldn't have responded in a better way. You know, words don't matter. It's actions. And the actions of this last week was big time.
And the only thing missing from Judge is that in the postseason.
Sure.
And carrying this team. Forget about winning a World Series. I know that's ultimately what matters, but getting to the World Series. Every year since 2017, I have thought that Judge was going to carry this team to the World Series. And every year since 2017, they've fallen short.
It's funny. Alex Rodriguez, I bring him up in this regard. He was a great player. Forget the steroids for a second. I'm just talking about great regular season player. And postseason after postseason, he would fail in big spots. Barry Bonds was the same way.
Right, I remember.
And I always thought in the back of my mind, boy, you give a great player enough opportunities, they're going to finally have that postseason where you can't get them out. Again, just put the steroids aside. It took Barry Bonds until 2002 when you couldn't get him out in the postseason. And it took A-Rod until 2009. He carried them to a championship. So if you get there year after year after year, it's what Mike Trout wish he had.
Right.
Mike Trout wishes he could get that crack every year. Eventually, greatness will show itself in the biggest moments.
I agree, and that's why it just hit me. Look, this could have gone the other way, Ev. Yankees going into the Trop, a team who was on them down there. Yankees were all beat up. I know they got Bader back, but it was not a good time going into that series. And they showed me something, even in losing 2 out of 3, and they really should have won 2 out of 3 with Cole with the big lead in that Sunday game. But they showed me competitive fight where it could have went the other way, and maybe they were buried in last place, 10, 12 games back, whatever. And then again, coming back home, a great back and forth, head-to-head, toe-to-toe with the best team in baseball. I'm not saying the Yankees should take consolation in splitting a series with the Rays because they're the Yankees. They should be better.
Right.
But at a time where they're not whole, where there are question marks about them, where they're in last place going into this 14-game stretch, they responded. And I think that is the leadership of Aaron Judge, especially when he came back, and Boone as well, showing that competitive fire. They played together as a competitive team here.
They've responded. We'll get your calls coming up, 877-337-6666.